At first, attention can feel intense, exciting, and deeply validating. Words are charming, messages come fast, and interest seems strong. But not all attention is rooted in love. Sometimes, what looks like affection is driven by desire alone. And there is one powerful shift that reveals the difference, a subtle change that speaks louder than words. Understanding this shift can protect the heart and bring clarity where confusion once lived. Emotional consistency is one of the first things to fade when attraction is driven by lust instead of love. In the beginning, attention may feel constant. Messages arrive quickly, interest feels intense, and presence seems reassuring. But over time, the pattern changes. Responses become unpredictable. One day there is warmth and engagement, the next day there is distance or silence. This inconsistency creates confusion because words and actions no longer align. Love shows up steadily. It does not disappear when things become routine, inconvenient, or emotionally complex. Emotional consistency means checking in without a reason, staying present even during uncomfortable conversations, and offering reassurance without being prompted. It means showing care on ordinary days, not only during moments of excitement or desire. When lust is the driving force, effort depends on mood and access. Emotional energy appears only when there is something to gain. Outside of those moments, attention drops. Conversations lose depth. Emotional availability feels conditional. The connection starts to feel like a switch that turns on and off without warning. This inconsistency is not always obvious at first. It often hides behind charm, chemistry, and strong physical attraction. But over time, the lack of stability becomes impossible to ignore. There is no rhythm, no reliability, no sense of emotional safety. Feelings are met with vagueness or avoidance. Promises feel soft and easily broken. Love builds trust through repetition. Lust creates intensity without foundation. When emotional consistency disappears, it leaves behind anxiety, self-doubt, and unanswered questions. The absence of steady care slowly reveals that attraction is present, but emotional investment is not. Genuine curiosity about feelings is one of the clearest indicators of emotional depth, and it quietly fades when the connection is based on lust rather than love. In the beginning, questions may seem thoughtful. There is interest in moods, reactions, and personal experiences. Feelings are acknowledged, sometimes even mirrored. But over time, that curiosity loses sincerity. Questions become routine or disappear altogether. Listening turns passive, and responses feel automatic instead of engaged. Love is curious by nature. It wants to understand emotional shifts, unspoken concerns, and inner worlds. It asks follow-up questions, remembers details, and notices changes in tone or energy. It doesn't just hear words, it tries to understand meaning. Emotional curiosity means wanting to know how someone is truly doing, even when the answer requires patience or emotional effort. When lust is the foundation, emotions are treated as background noise. Feelings are tolerated only when they are light, easy, or flattering. Anything deeper feels inconvenient. Conversations are redirected, minimized, or avoided. Vulnerability is met with distraction rather than care. There may be physical closeness, but emotional distance grows quietly. This lack of curiosity can feel subtle at first. It may show up as forgotten details, shallow responses, or a habit of changing the subject. Over time, it creates a sense of invisibility. Feelings no longer feel important enough to explore. Emotional expression starts to feel like a burden rather than something welcomed. Love leans in when emotions surface. Lust pulls away when depth appears. When curiosity fades, emotional connection weakens, and the bond becomes centered on moments rather than meaning, presence rather than understanding, attention rather than care. When effort becomes conditional and minimal, it reveals the true foundation of the connection. In the beginning, actions may feel generous and intentional. Time is made, plans are suggested, and attention feels active. But as time passes, the effort starts to depend on convenience rather than care. Only what feels easy is offered, and anything requiring consistency, patience, or emotional work slowly disappears. Love gives effort without keeping score. It shows up even when circumstances are imperfect. It prioritizes presence, not just pleasure. Effort in love looks like planning ahead, following through, and adjusting when something matters. It means choosing connection even when energy is low or expectations are unclear. When lust leads, effort becomes selective. Plans turn vague or last minute. Initiative fades. Promises are replaced with excuses. Communication slows unless there is immediate benefit. Emotional support feels shallow or absent because it doesn't serve desire directly. The connection begins to revolve around availability rather than intention. This shift often creates self-doubt. There is confusion about whether expectations are too high or needs are unreasonable. But the issue is not asking for too much, it is receiving too little. Minimal effort can still feel intense in short bursts, which makes the inconsistency harder to recognize. Love expands effort as the bond deepens. Lust reduces effort once interest is satisfied. Over time, the imbalance becomes clear through canceled plans, forgotten conversations, and a lack of follow-through. What once felt intentional now feels optional, and the connection survives only on moments when effort happens to be convenient. When presence is physical, but not emotional, the connection starts to feel hollow despite closeness. Time may be spent together, bodies may be near, and attention may feel intense in the moment, but something essential is missing. Emotional presence means being mentally and emotionally engaged, not just occupying the same space. It means noticing moods, responding to emotions, and staying connected beyond touch. In love, presence extends past proximity. There is awareness, attentiveness, and emotional availability, even in silence. Being present looks like listening without distraction, offering reassurance without being asked, and staying emotionally engaged even when nothing exciting is happening. Love remains present during ordinary moments, difficult conversations, and periods of emotional vulnerability. When lust is the driving force, presence narrows to the physical. Attention heightens during moments of attraction, then fades once those moments pass. There may be laughter and chemistry, but little emotional grounding. Conversations feel lighter, safer, and less personal. Depth is avoided, not because it is unwanted, but because it requires emotional investment. This type of presence can feel confusing. On the surface, time together exists, yet emotional closeness does not deepen. There is a sense of being with someone but not truly being seen. Feelings may be shared, but they are not fully held. Comfort feels temporary rather than secure. Physical presence without emotional engagement often leads to loneliness within connection. The body feels wanted, but the heart feels distant. Love stays present even when desire is not the focus. Lust shows up for closeness, but withdraws from emotional responsibility. Over time, the difference becomes clear through moments when emotional support is needed and presence quietly disappears. When communication happens only when convenient, it creates an uneven emotional rhythm that slowly weakens the connection. At first, messages may feel frequent and engaging. There is quick responsiveness, playful exchanges, and a sense of being prioritized. Over time, that consistency fades. Replies become delayed, conversations feel rushed, and contact appears only at certain times or under specific circumstances. Love communicates with intention. It checks in without needing a reason. It responds even when busy, not perfectly, but thoughtfully. Communication in love is about staying connected, not just staying entertained. It values clarity, reassurance, and emotional continuity. Even brief messages carry warmth and presence. When lust leads, communication becomes transactional. Messages arrive when attention is wanted, when availability is needed, or when desire resurfaces. Outside of those moments, silence feels normal. There is little effort to explain absence or acknowledge emotional gaps. Conversations may restart as if nothing happened, leaving unresolved feelings behind. This pattern often causes emotional uncertainty. There is hesitation to express needs because responses feel unpredictable. Reaching out starts to feel like an interruption rather than an invitation. Emotional expression becomes guarded, not from lack of feeling, but from lack of safety. Convenient communication prioritizes ease over connection. It avoids accountability and emotional responsibility. Love maintains connection even during distance, stress, or busy periods. Lust appears and disappears based on impulse. Over time, the difference shows through missed check-ins, unanswered messages, and a growing sense that communication exists on someone else's schedule